When did I get a message?
You have one new message.
Hey, JP, you fucking freak, we're partying. Where are you at? I'll chirp you later. Here's Sam.
Hey, JP, we celebrated the game tonight. Stop it.
Give me the phone. My name is JP. I'm a robot. I like robots. I have a robot vagina. I am not amused.
What up, everyone? DJ Nubis here with you on the Metal Time Radio podcast with another episode of When I Raid Alone. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore, the tournament that streamer Aziru and a few other big-time streamers are going to participate in. It is open for other players to play to win 100K. So I'm going to let Zyru talk a little bit about that. Then also I got like Asmon Gold coming in and talking about some of the drama surrounding it. So I don't know what's going on with that. A lot of this is going to be new to me except for the first video. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about Guild Wars 2, a game that I recently played the first one a little bit. So we're going to check out the second one and see what it's all about, what the graphics look like. There's a guy named... give me a sec here. What is this gentleman's name that's going to be doing it? Bran Online. So he's going to be reviewing it, talking about it. So we're going to kind of just follow along with him about what's coming up with Guild Wars 2. And then finally, we're going to dive back into Diablo 4. Yesterday, the dev team had their second campfire meeting for Season 2, Season of Blood. There's a lot of changes going on. So I know the big time streamers who are following this stuff a lot closer than I am, like Rax and DM and all them. So I'm gonna go and let Rax kind of go through because he's pretty smart, intelligent guy. So he's gonna go through it, watching it, and he's just give his opinions on certain things. And then I know he's done some other videos since yesterday to kind of clarify the patch notes and everything. But I would put in the links to his YouTube channel in my comments section. Or in the description, so that if you all have any questions about that, you can go through that. But we're going to watch his little video. I kind of edited it out a little bit just for parts that I really want to pay attention to. But first, like I said, Zyru is announcing that World of Warcraft is going to be doing the Mak'Gora hardcore tournament. So basically, what that means is if you're on hardcore, you can challenge other players to one-on-one matches, and you can fight to the death. And so it's been being done now in hardcore, and guys like Zeke go out there and they impressively won some matches and lost a few here and there. But yeah, so the 100K, it's gonna be very interesting. In a way, I've seen a little bit of this clip, so I know Zaru kind of covers a lot of it about the rules and regulations in it, because right now in World of Warcraft there isn't really any massive rules about it. But if you're going to go play for money, then we got to have a few rules in line. So Zaire is going to explain that. So we're going to jump right into this shit, and here we go with World of Warcraft.
Announced. It is public information now. If you guys did not hear, there is a $100,000 Mak'Gora Tournament happening at the end of this month. Let's just watch the OTK Hardcore Mak'Gora Tournament announcement for anyone who has missed it. This trailer's so badass. So badass, dude. So badass. Oh, shit.
I challenge Mak'Gora!
Yeah! Dang, level 60, baby.
My
I want to see a war duel in the tournament.
My bad.
100,000 prize pool makes it the largest. There it is, boys. There it is. Looks so good. Character creation October 6th. That's tomorrow. Wait, hold on. Let's pause on this last screen. Character creation October 6th. That's tomorrow. All right. The leveling dates will be the 6th through the 30th. You register on Raider.io. Can only streamers join. It is open registration. Anyone can join. At level 60, there's going to be an open bracket. That's going to.
And for those that don't know, like, I do have a hardcore player in World of Warcraft. I don't really play it. Something about the old system I've talked about before, like back in the day, very sluggish and slow. And I know a lot of the big time streamers and the ultimates who play these games love the nostalgia of it all and the simplistic nature of it. But give me fluidity and give me speed, because I do not like a very slow fucking moving game. And unfortunately, World of Warcraft in its infancy was exactly that. It's just very sluggish. And, it just takes you forever to get from point A to point B. Don't like it. Never have. Now, on top of that, you basically die, you're done. So, even if you weren't playing hardcore, like, you'd probably die a few times just, because it's a game, like World of Warcraft, you will die here and there. Even in Dragonflight, you still die, but at least your character is not delete, So I have no interest. I'm not even good enough to do the PvP stuff. So, but I find it very interesting. I really find an appreciation for people that are that good with their characters and go and do this. And it's a kind of a fun thing to watch, people that are using their intelligence and how they gameplay the fights. And like Zeke, I think I don't know if I did a review video on it or not, but he had gone against a guy who had like buffed the shit out of himself. Like, he didn't know it at the time because it was a different faction. And the guy like had almost every buff out there. Like, the opponent should have like laid waste to Zeke, who's a mage, right? And this is why this Mak'Gora stuff's kind of cool, because Zeke was able to stay alive, and he kind of like put some shots on the opponent, who I think was a paladin or a warrior or something. But the paladin was really, the guy was actually stream sniping, so he was basically coming out looking for Zeke to kill him for cloud credit, whatever you want, for his own channel. And so Zeke goes and he finds a way to like get around like this, because you don't really see the buffs until you've already accepted the match, and so that's kind of like the what I call the Jew move of gaming, is that you're sort of deceiving your opponent. Because technically a mage should lay waste to a paladin with no problem. And Zeke's a really good player. So Zeke, in order to combat the buffs and everything, because he could do almost no damage against his paladin the way his buffs were working. So Zeke then went on and like found a way to get the guy to go out of bounds, froze him, and then ran back in for the timer. And then what happened was, even though the other character didn't die, if you are out of bounds for a period of time, you end up getting debuffed for 3 days. So it's a penalty. It's like running away from a fight. So Zeke outsmarted this guy by allowing him to run out of bounds and then freeze him and jump back in on the timer so that he can get the credit for the win, basically, which it was. It was just a matter of smarts. That's, I don't know, like Zeke is just very patient and balanced, and to do PvP, you got to be like that. Me, I'm kind of like the bat and musher kind of guy, especially if I'm under stress, So that's why I don't really like do a lot of dungeons and raids. Like, I mean, I could do dungeons; they're not that hard, especially if you know what everyone's doing. But raids can be a little more trickier because each one, like I've seen some of these other raids that Asmon runs and stuff, like you have to have your shit together. And so in PvP, it works the same way. You're playing against opponents trying to kill you. It's even worse in hardcore. So this tournament is going to be kind of a cool thing to watch play out in the end, because it's part of OGK and everything else. But, there are going to be people that have naysayers about it. But let's check out some more of what Azaru has in store for this.
It's going to happen on the 30th. On the 30th, that's the qualifying bracket. It's going to be the top 34-68. 34-68 to make it to the finals. Then from there, well, on the 31st, they'll duel it out. 32. Will it be Horde or Ally? It's going to be Horde, which means no Paladins. We wanted to do Skull Rock because the advantage, no one really has much gold on Skull Rock, right? No one has much of an advantage because everyone has their gold over on DP. So since pretty much no streamers are going to have much gold on Skull Rock, the economy is pretty low. It's going to be a more even playing field. No world buffs too, let's go. Yes, so we did decide on not doing any world buffs for the tourney. We did decide on no Petri flasks, but besides that, we're like pretty open on the rule book. We wanted as little rules as possible, but we did decide on no raid gear. One of the reasons we decided on no raid gear was because we didn't want streamers having a benefit of like, oh, let's get carried through this, get full epics, and I'm against a person that's not a streamer in full greens. We wanted to even out the playing field as much as possible between streamers and non-streamers. So that's why we chose Skull Rock. That's why we banned raid gear. Yeah. World boss loot. We're still talking about world boss loot. Right, as it stands right now, world boss loot is allowed, but we're still having meetings about it. So I'll be in contact with them. Basically, the reasoning behind us allowing world boss loot right now is because the reality of 40 players making it to 60 and actually killing a world boss is like really, really, really low and very, very, very risky. So someone could go for a world boss and die. Since Skull Rock doesn't have much of an economy and doesn't have many level 60s, it's going to be very hard for players to actually get to level 60 and clear a world boss. So it's just a very hard, risky thing to do. Streamers will easy with existing guilds. It's on a brand new realm that no streamer plays on, Skull Rock. So that should not be an issue. Is Skull Rock that far behind? Yes. Is boosting allowed? You can get help. Yeah, it's not SSF. So one of the biggest questions people have is, why is the tourney not SSF? And that's a good question. The reality of the answer is it's not enforceable, right? You could tell people to use the add-on, but there's many issues with the add-on. One, you can just disable the add-on and cheat the add-on very, very, very easily. Two, at level 60, the add-on doesn't work anyway, so it would disqualify everybody. If you didn't know that, that's how the add-on works. So we can't really do a reliable and trackable SSF in the current landscape. If Blizzard wants to add an SSF feature, we could do another tourney with SSF. Am I going to be participating in the tourney? No, I'm going to be hosting it right here at twitch.tv/Zaryu, baby. Does the winner win all? So the way it works is the winner wins 50,000. The other 50,000 is split. There was 2 ways we were talking about doing this, I believe. The remaining 50,000 will be distributed evenly between top placing individuals of their respective class. I'm really happy we went with this. So this was a good idea that Tips had that I really like. So basically, if hunters are not that good in the duel tourney, but you're the top hunter, you'll still get paid, right? If you're a druid and there's not many druids that do well, and you're like the highest druid in the tourney, you'll still get paid. Makes it pretty freaking sweet, man. That sucks. Winner should get all. I completely will disagree with you there. I'm really happy that it's 50,000 for first place. And
Yeah, I agree with Zyra here. Like, sure, to do the kind of feat you're doing and to win everything, you would think, yeah, that's a huge feat and you should get paid for that. But that's part of the other problem too, is that as a gamer in the hardcore, it's so fucking hard. Like, he hasn't gotten around to it yet, but if you think about the players that are going to participate in this event, right? So many of them aren't going to make it. And keep in mind, you can't do this until you've hit level 60. So this is for level 60. So you have to get your character, create it, level up to 60, then go into your Mak'Goras and basically go through the tournament. Just getting to 60 is a bitch. So if you have like 1,000 people who are going to do this, maybe 150 people maybe get there, right? Like, I don't think it's going to be a high amount of people. Now, the other question of this, and I don't know if Zyru and them ever get around to discussing it, is if you're leveling to 60, are you still having to worry about griefers? Because if you're just concentrating on getting to 60 so you can do the Mak'Gora for the tournament, like, how do you control griefers? Or do you just say that's part of it? Because I know they talked about disconnects in this, also part of it. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
50,000 for everyone else. The reason I like that is because it takes a lot of time to hit level 60 and gear up for a tournament like this. And if you come, you know, like first place hunter or first place this or that, and you get paid nothing, it kind of would feel pretty bad. So yeah, I'm really, really happy about this. Say like Zico levels for the tourney, and you know, he's level 50 after like 2 weeks. And say he like dies at level 52 and he doesn't have time to re-level. That's part of the tournament, right? The part of the tournament is you have to not die before 60. Part of the tournament is hitting 60 on a hardcore character.
Yep.
Without a disconnect, without dying. Rule 9 says we have to stream our duels. Yes, so we can go closer into the rules. Rules and regulations. So, introduction. Guess we can take it from the top. The event will be governed by this document entitled by rules and regulations of the code and conduct unless otherwise indicated. One of the things when we were looking at making this rule set was we wanted as little rules as possible. We just wanted it to be a fair environment where people weren't cheating. That's basically the starting point for this, right? We didn't want an unfair environment, but other than that, we didn't really ban many items or things within the actual game. But let's take a look. So, if a provision of the event rules is or becomes illegal, invalid, or unenforceable in any jurisdiction, that shall not affect the validity of enforceability in the jurisdiction of any other. The provision of the event rules, the validity of the enforceability in other jurisdictions. So this is just like jargon for basically saying this shit could happen, right? And this disclaimer is very awesome. I think it was a good thing that we put this disclaimer here. World of Warcraft dueling is not an officially supported Blizzard esport. While our team is working tirelessly to ensure a smooth and fair experience, there is a possibility that something goes awry during this event. It's a Mak'Gora tourney. Shit can happen. If you're uncomfortable losing your character, or in an opportunity at the prize pool due to a technicality, an administrative decision, or an in-game bug, this is not the tournament for you. So guys, this is a fun community event. If you're gonna be crying over some random bullshit that can happen, step to the side. All right, this is not the tourney for you. We're gonna have a good time. Like, no matter what, shit can happen, but we're gonna just brush it off and have a good time, okay? That's how that's gonna work, all right? We're gonna be mature about it and have a good time with it. There it is. Acceptance of the rules. By registering, you accept the rules. Additionally, by registering for and participating in the event, competitors understand that OTK, Esfon, Zaryu, Soda Poppin, and Raider.io may rebroadcast the footage of their streams of their VOD channels. Cool. Amendments, supplements, and changes. This may be amended. So we're still talking about the official rule set of everything, but I don't think much will change. There might be like 1 or 2 things that we're still in consideration about. Code of conduct. You have to be respectful and sportsmanlike towards fellow competitors, partners, viewers, press, and all SFMG staff and sponsors. This behavior extends to in-game chats, live stream comments, and other media. Threatening language, doxing, DDoSing, harassment, stalking, discrimination, and all forms of bullying towards SFMG volunteers, employees, participants, and competitors is completely unacceptable and will result in immediate expulsion, forfeiture of prize money, and bans from all future events. You love to have that in there, man. We gotta have everyone just having a good time. All right, we're having a good time. Community tournament. No dicking around. We can all be mature here and just have a good time with it. Next, referee. The SFMG will be monitored by a designated referee. Referees are volunteers responsible for making judgment calls. Makes sense, right? Cheating! All participants, competitors are expected to compare in a fair and honorable manner. Methods of cheating, such as account sharing, match fixing, stream sniping, duel disruption, external character intervention during duels, client-side abuse, hacking, exploiting, or use of banned items are forbidden. Intentional rule loophole exploitation may constitute as cheating. So if you're sitting there scratching your head like, how can I get around these rules and somehow get a free win? That's still gonna count as cheating, all right? Just play the damn video game. If an SFMG competitor or participant is found cheating, disciplinary action may include match forfeiture, disqualification, forfeiture of prize money, temporary suspension, or permanent ban from all future events. Inspection. All right. This inspection rule is why players are going to be required to stream. The reason we're requiring people to stream is so we can bag check, talent check, and make sure they're not using any banned items or breaking the rules, okay? You gotta open up your bags on stream, just like the CDL, right? Gotta show that you're not cheating, you're not bringing anything that you're not supposed to be bringing, and then you'll be given the green light to start the duel. All participants and competitors, in-game characters will be subject to a bag and talent inspection prior to and or during the event. Inspections will require competitors to open up their bags, their talent page, and their character panel on stream to ensure fair play and integrity of the competition. This is exactly how we did the CDL. Exactly how we're going to be doing the OTK Mak'Gora Tournament, okay? Submittals. Competitors may be required to submit talent specs they intend to use 24 hours prior to the round taking place. We don't want people changing specs, getting summoned back and forth depending on the duel they're doing. You got to play the spec that you signed up as. Attendance.
Yeah, that's big too. So, like I said about the fight that Zeke did with the Paladin, if you're going to go into Mak'Gora, you got to show your hand at first. You have to make sure you're not buffed. You have to make sure that whatever gear you have on, as long as it's not raid gear, is legit, so that if like you won't be able to flip out and switch gear or anything. So they're keeping tabs on that so that people don't cheat the system. And because there's going to be people trying to do that because they're just dickheads and don't understand how the rules apply. But Yeah, so that's how it goes with that.
You got to show up in a timely manner. So far, we're like halfway through the rules, and there hasn't really been any rule in-game yet. There's been 0 in-game rules. This is all just like making sure the tournament runs in a fair and balanced way, right? That's it. Like, that's all it has been so far. Disciplinary clause. Violating the rules may include penalty points, event disqualification, right? So once again, you just don't break the rules. General event info. Cool. Once again, this isn't really like a rule. This is just explaining things in the rules. Where and when. October 6th, you start leveling. October 30th, you start qualifying. October 31st, it's the finals. Okay? $100,000 prize pool. It's going to be streamed on Esfon, Zaryu, and my channel. Or Soda Poppin', Esfon, and my channel. However, streamers are welcome to co-stream the event, provided they abide by the Blizzard and Twitch TOS. Awesome, man. The SFMG prize pool is going to be $100,000. $50K will be distributed to the top players of their respective classes, which I love this rule. It'll be for Horde characters. That means no Paladins, unfortunately, but it is on the Horde side. Registration. So this just shows you how to register in the rules. You basically just click on the registration form. You sign up with Raider.io. You create a Horde character. You have to have SFMG at the end of your name. You log out. You resync. You fill out the form. Log back in. And you start leveling. Gonna have about 30 days to level. I guess a little less. Event format. So this is the juicy stuff. Okay? We're getting to the juicy stuff here. This is open to the public. Yep, anyone can join. Anyone can join. What about leveling sabotage? Well, hopefully players don't do that, but it's an MMO, so it's going to be hard to stop it completely. Okay, on October 30th, registered participants who make it to level 60 will go through a qualifying round to determine who will advance to the Mak'Gora finals. Okay, so we'll see how many people make it to 60. You know what I mean? Could be 100, could be 200, I don't know.
Yep. So again, that's what I was talking about, where a lot of people probably enter this. That, I mean, 100K, dude. That's life changing, right? So you got all these players coming in now. You know, the one thing too is, like, I have to wonder a little bit, because, you know, like Zeke and some of them are going to enter this now. Here's the thing: a lot of these streamers are fucking damn good. They're good because they do their channels, they play games all day. It's kind of like what they do. It's what they're all about. Now, not to say that other gamers who are good at hardcore don't play all day, but what happens if a majority of your finalists happen to be streamers? So at that point, you're like, is the system rigged a little bit? And so I think Zyru and company have to be a little careful about that. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going to try to cheat the system by only allowing, like, major streamers to get through here and win this money. So it'd be nice to see, ultimately, it'd be nice to see somebody who's just a normal Joe come out of this with the win. But I don't know how that will really work, or if it will, like, in the long run. Like, I just don't know. Maybe they are way better than the streamers. I don't know. Watching Zeke, though, I'd be very afraid to try to take him on in this, if he's going to play in this tournament. All right. Well, let's Asbon has a take on this. I have not watched this yet, so I don't know everything that he's going to say about this. But let's see what he says regarding, because apparently there's already drama regarding the tournament, so you knew it was probably going to happen.
Drama. Guys, are you ready? There has been some drama with the OTK tournament. That's right. There was a post, and I saw this yesterday. It was actually really funny, because so Tyson tweets out, and he's talking about Guzu. I'll watch the clip, and you guys can go ahead and just listen to it so we can get the full context, and then we'll go from there. And so here we go.
To summarize, I guess the whole reason why I'm not doing the tournament, I believe, is just overall, I think I would burn out super hard on doing it. I would really just, it would just not be fun for me. I also think it's very sweaty with the amount of like gold buying that's been happening with it. People getting, it's just about who can get the most help and stuff like that. And I think I would just rather do chill, cool stuff with my warrior. Focus on that, doing community things, doing just chatting stuff, doing some cooking streams, doing variety. And also, I'm planning to perhaps do a trip to BlizzCon. So I do want to maybe prep for that too, all right? To summarize, I guess...
So there it is. And Guzu doesn't really... He's dropping out. I mean, honestly, I would if I was him too. We have a lot of people that are competing in this tournament. Bro. He's not going to beat these guys.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. He already knows. Like, and I'm not trying to diss Goozer either. Like, he's pretty good. I don't know much about him, but I know that a lot of people respect him and everything as a player. But let's face it, you're not getting burned out when you've been playing hardcore the last, few weeks to months. It's more about you just going to get your ass whooped, and you don't want your ass to get whooped. So I think it's more of a play. I mean, you're choosing to go to BlizzCon over 100K. I mean, are you mental? Like, with everything that's going on with Blizzard and their fuck ups and their microtransaction bullshit and everything else, the negative aspect of Blizzard that's going on, you're choosing to go to BlizzCon over a chance to win 100K. Okay. Yeah, I'm not buying it.
I'm not going to beat these guys. You're not going to beat these guys. These are the best players in the world. It's just not going to happen. Like, that's just a fucking fact. And, yeah, it's sweaty. It's not even just sweaty. These are people that have been rank 1 gladiator for a fucking decade, okay? Like, yeah, you're not going to, yeah, I'm already 60-1. Yeah, Zico, yeah, bro, like, you're not going to beat Zico. Nobody in his thread's going to beat Zico. It's just not going to happen. And so, anyway, Guzu is accusing people. Let's listen to this here.
I also think it's very sweaty with the amount of like gold buying that's been happening with it.
So he goes and he says that there has been people buying gold. Can you believe this? People have been buying gold in Classic WoW. I know, it's crazy. And so anyway, Tyson goes, or sorry, Zach goes and he asks, he says, who's gold buying? Guess who fucking retweets this? Retweets Mak'Gora. Stay safe. There he is again. And we've got, obviously, Payo right here who's messaging. He says, I need to buy gold. He needs to buy the gold.
Okay, so even if you have that, there's rules in place, right? There's only so much you can do. Like, maybe I'm missing the point of how the gold is going to give you an advantage, because the only way you're going to get the fucking 60, or at least the only way you're going to get into the tournament, is to get to level 60. It doesn't matter how much gold you buy. If you can't get to 60, you're going to fucking die, right? You can only have certain pieces of gear. You can't have raid gear, at least from last I checked. So what is it exactly that you're worried about here? Well, I'm just coming back to this question because I know people are like, what are you overthinking? I'm not overthinking it. The issue is you can't control what people do with their own fucking real life money. Now, if they're doing something that's going to give them a certified advantage, sure. But the reality is buying gold doesn't guarantee you shit. If you're not a good player, I can take all the gold in the world, buy all the best stuff that I've had for my hunter, and go into hardcore and still lose like to just regular mods before I'm like level 12 on my hardcore. I haven't gone back to it in a while. I get nervous every time I go into a quest line. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't have a lot of gold in that character, but the reality is like, even if I did, it's not going to guarantee me that I'm going to survive. Yeah, I don't know what Guzu's complaining about here, or maybe I'm just missing exactly what it is that's gonna somehow give them the advantage. Because the only advantage is it's only going to be an advantage to things if Zyro and company don't check to make sure that people like before you fight, all that shit. Doesn't matter how much gold you have. It really doesn't. The idea is to get to 60. That's all it fucking matters. I don't give a fuck if you pay to have your character level up. I mean, that's kind of cheesy if you do, but technically, I don't know if you can even do that on hardcore. Can you? Maybe somebody answered that for me. I don't know if you can actually pay to have your character level to 60. I know you can pay people to level the characters for you. I mean, I've never done that shit, but people actually do it. But what's stopping someone from doing that? Like, forget the gold. What if you paid somebody $50 to level a character for you? I mean, or 100, whatever it is, right? Like, how are you going to control something like that? You can't. You can't.
Gold. This rivalry will never end. Yeah, he needs to buy it. I need to grind money on post-start to buy gold for a tournament. True. Selling gold in Skull Rock, how much? Now, the funny thing about this is that I'm not sure if Peyo was just memeing around, Like, that's really it. Probably just joking around. But how much do of course people are going to be buying gold. So Tyson retweets this and he makes a post about this. And he says this: now that they're out there, these are screenshots I received over the weekend that seem to show Peyo Wow's intention of purchasing gold for real money. Let me be clear. Gold buying or the intention of buying gold does not stop at Peyo. This is a widespread issue across this tournament as players and streamers feel they're in an arms race for part of the 100K prize pool. For what it's worth, I reached out to Peyo in hopes of getting his side or some clarification on these screenshots, but he said he was too busy with his stream and tournament preparations. Money never sleeps. That's a fact. So, yep, too busy. And so anyway, a lot of people are saying, like, here we go. Retail-y players with their small brains could never comprehend all of the levels of complexity to this tournament. Who cares that he is clearly and obviously buying gold when gold is only 0.1% of the difficulty of WoW Classic, especially Hardcore Classic? Get a grip. True, this is his public Discord. It's hilarious how baited people get. So people think that this was just simply baiting, and Peyo is a master baiter. Now, we're not sure if that's the case or not, but there has been a number of people bringing this up. They've been messaging me about this, and they've been kind of upset. They've been saying who's been buying gold. The thing, if you think somebody is buying gold, not you think meaning that, oh, I saw him with gold, that means he bought gold. But I mean, if you have reason to believe somebody's buying gold, report them. It's just about that simple. Yeah. Call Peyo on Discord right now. I mean, I think Peyo's probably doing something else. But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, let's face it. If Asmon entered into this whole thing, like, to level 60 in the tournament, like, let's face it, Asmon would be doing what he always does. He begs for money. He begs for gold from people. So he's like, just give me all your gold. Just give it to me. Like he doesn't even buy it. He just says, give it to me. That's how bad he is. I should say that's how good he is at just getting what he wants. Just give me your fucking gold, man. Quit being stingy. Give it to me.
I don't know if that's if that would go well or not for him, right? I think that people would probably just think that he was wrong. Call him, please. Yeah, he's probably busy preparing. He doesn't have time for things like this. Wasn't this event 3 days ago? No, the announcement was 3 days ago. And the event's going to happen, I think, somewhere at the end of the month, man. What's this up? Viewers from just funneling gold to streamers? It's kind of the same. Because one of them is against the TOS and the other one isn't. Like, giving people gold or helping somebody with no sort of, thing in return is very different than having like money attached to it. Yeah, like I mean, money is like
Doesn't Asmon look so sweet, like playing with his hair like a chick?
spending money on shit is like a completely different universe, in my opinion. Because like anybody can help their friend, anybody can do stuff like that. But like it's one thing to just like help your friend or send some gold to a streamer, and it's another thing to have an entire economy around buying it, right? I mean, it's like totally different. So yeah, money makes it a transaction. Exactly. So yeah, I think Solo Self-Found or clearly stating everything is fine would be better. They've been ambiguous about what's been allowed. We pretty much let people do whatever the fuck, right? I mean, that's my understanding. So obviously, the OTK tournament has brought in a lot of very degenerate behavior. Like, for example, Zico. We're going to go ahead and look at this here. Zico has been streaming it, no surprise. And we're going to take a look at it right here. Yeah, because the thing is, you can't enforce SSF. Like, if we could make a rule that, like, or Blizzard could, like, go in and make it to where players can't trade or do anything like that, like, they can't do auctions, they cannot... Their inventory cannot interact with another player's inventory in any capacity, then yeah, maybe that would be interesting to try. But there's always going to be ways around it. Like, for example, like you can have other people kill a boss for you and then they pass on the loot and then you just get it, right? There's always going to be a way around something. So...
Dude, he's lagging. We're so dead, dude. We're so dead. He's going to pull more. I'm going to have to leave him. Run, dude. Run.
Ooh.
I'm actually gonna die, dude, I swear.
Ooh, Zico's out of mana?
Is he back yet?
Ooh, this is not looking good.
Dude, I need an innovator or something, dude. I have to run. He's gonna die in there, dude.
Bro, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, I don't think as all the character players that are going to be getting up to level 60 for this tournament are going to be doing much heroics in terms of going back and saving any groups and dungeons and raids, because let's face it, if you're working your way up to this tournament, you ain't got time to play hero. You got to get the fuck out of Dodge if you want to save your character. Because one thing that Zyru said that I don't think we got in his video initially was, if you die, so let's say you got 30 days, if you die, you got to start over, and you got to hope to get up to 60 still within that time frame. So if you spend 3 weeks to get to 50 and you die, dude, you now have like less than 10 days or whatever to like fucking, get your shit and a new character up to 60. So don't expect many of the players going from Mak'Gora to like go and end up saving other people if they're trying to do dungeons and shit to level up.
Dad, he's lagging out like that.
There, man.
Fuck.
I'm putting them back. I'm trying to buy him time for the lag. Dude, he's lagging.
That sucks. And apparently the guy, did he die? Apparently he died. The druid booster died while on duty. That's so sad. Yeah, due to disconnection issues. Exactly. From the agreement with Blizzard, awful finalists, a specific tier gear set, it'd be an even playing field. There's never going to be a point where it's an even playing field in the game. And this is like one thing that like a lot of people have. RMT invalidates the devotion of hardcore players. Yep, you're right about that. But you are never going into a tournament like this on even ground. Some people just simply have more time to spend. Like, for example, a person who is a working person will never, ever be able to compete with somebody who plays the game 12 hours a day. It's just never going to happen, right? So you have that thing. And then you also have the fact that the game is imbalanced. So it's just like, you're allowed to level in 30 days. How can you hit 60 in 30 days? Bro, people hit 60 in 13 days. Probably in 7 days, they'll hit 60. It's not even a big deal, man.
Really? How the fuck would you do that, dude? I mean, I guess if you're that good, man, but that's a lot of work. Whew.
It's not gear, it's a computer, it's a connection, or they got a job. Yeah, everybody, like, you're going into it very much on unequal ground. That's just how it is. On-chain streamers being gifted gold is basically the same end product for the specific event. Without SSF around, I don't understand what other people expected. Well, one's against the rules and one's not. One's voluntary and one's, well, I guess both are actually voluntary. It's not true. One is a transaction and one's not. I think that once you get into transactions, then it's a very different situation than if you're just helping somebody or like, you know, this guy's getting boosted, right? There's nothing to stop somebody from their friend doing this for them.
Yeah, so that looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch when it happens. I'm definitely gonna have to start finding who all is involved with the tournament as far as streamers and check them out. I mean, I'm part of Twitch. I mean, I don't stream on Twitch or anything. I'm part of Discord. I don't think that Hog is the guy that plays World of Warcraft, so he's not somebody that's going to be involved. I don't think. Obviously, Guzu's not. Zeke is, of course. He's pretty fucking good. So, it's too bad Zyru's not playing. I know he's hosting it, but it's too bad he's not involved. Asmon's not going to do it, and I think it's just because he knows he's not as good as some of the guys in there. So it's going to be interesting seeing who comes out of this, man, because you know there's going to be a lot of players that we're not really familiar with, at least for me, that show up out of the stream. Maybe Savix will be in it. Maybe I think he'll probably play. So it's going to be, or even Quinn. I don't know if Quinn will get back into that stuff either. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys participate and how far they get. All right, well, let's jump into my next segment, which is Guild Wars 2. Now, recently, if you've been following my gaming videos at all, I've been talking a little about Dragonair, which is kind of cool. Also, Path of Exile, which I did try a while back. I've been kind of talking about that and how I think it's kind of overrated. Now, maybe Path of Exile 2 eclipses that because you have to realize Path of Exile is like 10 years old. Now, a lot of people were like still clamoring that Path of Exile is so much better than Diablo 4. And maybe in some ways it is, but other ways, like I think it's just overly complicated system. And I still laugh at DM because he ended up paying a bunch of money for fucking tab spaces when they were all bitching about Diablo 4 not even having enough tab spaces and having to charge for microtransactions or whatever. But then you have the Paragon board, right? So even though, like, even in Diablo 4, the Paragon board for any particular character can be kind of big. Everyone's like gloating over the Path of Exile and how expansive it is, but the reality is you're not using hardly any of that one either. And again, I'm gonna go back and say, if I'm playing a wizard or a sorcerer or a witch or whatever, why the fuck am I gonna go and try to create a build of where I'm using an axe? It makes no fucking sense. Even though I can do it, what's the purpose? It is no purpose. It's dumb. Like it's a dumb thing to even do. Like I want to take my warrior, I'm gonna put him in some threads and just have him like wielding a wand. Like what is the purpose? It's dumb. Why? There is no purpose with that. So I don't get that logic of those gamers talking about that now. I don't begrudge them for enjoying the game and all that other stuff. Like I love Hog, very cool guy. I love all those streamers actually. They're all very good. A lot of fun, great content. But I do disagree with them on some things, and that's one of them. Like it's not to say that Diablo 4 is like this world-beating game. But here I am too, like at a point now where, and I'll talk more about it when we start getting into the season 2 stuff. I'm just at a point where like I am kind of waiting to see if Blizzard can dig themselves out of the rut, because I know they did it with Diablo 3. They did it with Diablo 3. It took them a while, but they did it. So but Guild Wars 2 is interesting. It's another ARPG, and you know, I'm playing Guild Wars, the first one, because I wanted to kind of get the feel for it a little bit, see what it's like. I have not attempted Guild Wars 2 yet, but like most games, as technology gets better and graphics and everything else, so do the games themselves. So we're gonna check out a little video. It's by this guy named Bran Online, and I've never seen any of his stuff before. But he's going to go through and he's going to test out and explain Guild Wars 2 and kind of give us a rundown of his review of it. So this will be a first for me and maybe for you. So let's check it out. For me, I've always loved RPG games, Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, stuff like that. Morph, because it's a morph game, but just in those types of realm, I like that kind of stuff. And so let's see what Guild Wars 2 has to offer the gamer community.
All about, so let's get started, shall we? I assume we're going to get into, character creation first, so we can be a few different races here. We can be either human, Norn looks pretty cool, Asura, Sylvari, ooh, Sylvari looks pretty cool too, I like these art styles, or a Char. I'm a big warrior guy, so I think Char's probably what I'm going to end up going with here. And then, oh wow, a ton of different class styles too. So we've got a Guardian. It even shows you the complexity level. In MMOs, I typically like the more complex classes, even though I like defensive. High survivability warrior, that seems kind of cool, but not very complex. Engineer is very complex. Okay, that seems interesting. Not usually my kind of playstyle. Thief is kind of in the middle. Not a big fan of the stealthy gameplay. Ranger, not very complex, but you get a pet companion, which is always kind of cool. Mesmer, you create illusions and finesse with misdirection. That seems kind of interesting. Necromancer, meh. And then Elementalist. Elementalist seems right up my alley. 3-star complexity, versatile caster, favors ranged and elemental magic. Let's just go with this. Oh, and let's check out the actual character customization here. We get the body feature, so we get to make our character tall or short. Bunch of different physiques. I like this. Okay, get to choose the fur style. Okay, I'm gonna speed run through this because I could be here all day making a character. So let's just go with what we like on first glance. Let's go with this fur style. We can change the fur color too. I kind of like the red, but I think I'm gonna go with white and black. Let's go with white and black fur. Bunch of different hairstyles.
Yeah, that's tight. I like that color scheme. It's very cool.
Different faces, different horns. Oh god. And we're gonna make him look very angry. Change the armor to red because red's a cool color, and hopefully we can make that gem on the head match. Yep, here it is.
Just for food for thought, like for me, I think I'd be choosing a female character just to see how they can convey both beauty and badassery. So that's what I'd be going to. So I'd probably be like a mage or a ranger. That's kind of my style. I don't know. I just really love those type of characters. Even in Diablo 4 or WoW, of course, I have a male hunter, but I have a female hunter and as well as a female mage. So I always kind of mix it up. But I do tend to lean to the female side. Nice to look at.
We can make the gem match with the different symbolization of elements. Let's go with the red. Trouble may follow me, but I use my ferocity to overcome. I am proud to be... Let's go with...
Yeah, Guild Wars, the first one, did something similar where you would basically... You can have different temperaments almost. So, like, you could be a mercenary or a villain or a very friendly type of person that is a leadership role. So I kind of find that's kind of cool about the game, where as you're choosing your character, you can kind of choose their characteristics and their character in general, like what they would do in the real world as you're going around to the open world and fighting and doing questing, like how you're going to interact with other players and whatnot.
A Blood Legion soldier, that sounds pretty cool. I would die for my warband, especially my sparring partner. Maverick, Uriel, Reaver, Clawsper, Dinky. They all look kind of cool. Let's go with Reaver. Nothing gets her down. She always jokes. Okay, yeah, let's go with Reaver. They tell me the soldier that sired me is a honorless gladium, loyal soldier, or... Let's go with a sorcerer shaman. That sounds kind of cool. And then there it all is. Let's sign it with Bran Online. Kind of like this. Okay, it's quite personal. Oh, do we get a cutscene?
I am a Char.
Oh.
In this world of constant battle, I am the
Oh, wow. Does it go through all the choices we picked?
I respect no authority, but the clenched fist.
Oh, I like this. I like this.
With engines of destruction, we have
Oh my
killed
God.
our gods.
A little bit of a story
We
overview.
reclaimed our homeland of Ascalon, and we planted victory banners on the graves
Yeah,
of
that's
our
dark.
enemies. Yet, if we waver, it could slip through our claws.
I wonder if this intro came out first. I have to check on that. Or if Diablo 4, their season, Malignant and Season of Blood, kind of use similar thematics with their trailer. So I wonder if they're just borrowing from one another or if one of them came out first. If Blizzard came out afterwards, that's pretty cheesy.
Victory
Oh,
at
God.
any cost. The
Oh,
Blood
this is
Legion
cool.
is my mother. The Blood Legion is my father.
It goes through all the choices that we pick, so it's kind of like a personal story.
We are born into battle. We live on the fields of war. And I will die fighting. I'm a soldier, a ground pounder,
Hell yeah.
frontline infantry. I face the enemy head on.
Oh, this is good stuff.
I've earned the respect
I was gonna
of
say,
my
that's not
comrades
us.
and
God,
forged
that flaming
alliances
sword
I
was
can
cool,
call
though.
on in time of need.
Kind of want that.
In the Blood Legion, we're taught the meaning of the word duty.
Relentless is good in
relentless.
combat, at least.
Today, the soldiers of the Black Citadel assault the ghosts that plague
Ooh.
this land. I've been assigned to reinforce the bulwark.
Look kind of spooky.
Let the Ash Legion strike from the shadows. Let the Iron Legion build
And the
its
Blood
machines
Legion?
of war. I will not stop fighting until the only thing left standing on the field of
That's what I
battle
like
is
to hear.
This is my story.
Oh, I like that. It feels so personal already, dude. Fury of the Dead. Okay, I guess we're gonna get into this and see what the gameplay is like. Hopefully a bit of a tutorial. Yes. Okay, sweet. The music's really nice too. Just noticed the music's kind of banger. Okay, it says the movement here. Oh, I see. Okay, so right click to move with the camera, left click to just move the camera. That's good.
I do like that where you can see he's like an animalistic type of movement. So it's like he's kind of like on all fours and whatnot. So we kind of see this with the wolf creatures of WoW. Like they do that, but like the Taurans don't really do that. Druids do, but that's when they shapeshift into forms. This is kind of cool though. This is how he is in his natural state.
There's a couple of different ways to move. Classic MMO style. Oh, I should talk to this person. Okay, just in time, soldier. The Ghost Army's been bashing at that gate for weeks. They've finally broken through. Fight your way to the front and report to Centurion Christ Knife. Easy. We can do that. We only have one ability for now, but that should be fine. I assume that F1 is for fire, and we'll unlock more elements as we go. What is this guy doing? You okay?
Loser buys the first round.
Okay, I'll buy the first round. Well, you will, because I'm gonna win, but... Ooh! Okay, I mean, for a first ability, I assume this is just basic ability.
Yeah, and I actually misspoke, so I apologize. I actually been playing Guild Wars 2. I thought I was playing the first one, but this is the one I'm playing because this is the start screen. So that I didn't realize that at the time. I thought it was because I didn't know if I had to pay for the second one or not because they have like expansions. So yeah, but I recognize this. So that I've been playing Guild Wars 2, so I have been playing it. So that it's still pretty fucking sweet.
It feels kind of good. Oh god, wait, is this going to be voiced?
I need your help, soldier. Tribune Brimstone has ordered me to the crypt. To turn up to make it. What's so important that the Blood Legion Tribune is there?
It is voiced.
Barrington is far more powerful than we thought. His army just broke through our defenses. Gridlock's about
Let's
to
break
fight
through
him
them.
head on. If he succeeds, it'll be weeks before the Ghost reforms, and we can rebuild our perimeter. On my way.
All right, we got it. Let's do this. Oh, I see there's a little compass at the top right. Okay, that's kind of cool. So it tells you exactly where you need to go for the quest. I actually really like that. A lot of other games tend to struggle with directions and telling you like the area that you're supposed to go to. All right, let's head down into this crypt. I can see a couple of enemies down here, and I mean, this is where it's telling us to go. So I assume, yeah, join up with Ritlock Brimstone's unit. Die. I don't like this. I feel like I'm happy with the class that I chose, at least for now. All right, time to kill everything in this main hole. Oh, this is Duke Baradin. Oh, God. Okay. Nah, you won't destroy it. Wait, 1% health? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no, not that. Is he... What? Is he breaking the statue to life? Oh, yes, he is. Okay. Okay. Well, here we go. Okay, the health's going down pretty quick. Surely... Oh, I'm feared. Uh-oh. Okay, so there's definitely mechanics. Let's just keep attacking the statue. Its health's going down pretty quick. We could probably just destroy it in enough time. Oh, well. Ouch. Okay, I'm gonna try dodge its attacks as well. Let's have... Can I take a look and see if I can time it? Oh, no. Oh, I was too early. Okay, that's a skill issue. It's fine, though. It's fine. We'll try it again. Okay, never mind. I'm just... Listen, it takes time to learn the timings of dodges.
Yeah, one thing I learned about fighting, especially like the bosses, is you can see the little target on there. Like, you have to make sure that you're aiming for certain things. Like, I think the one boss that I was fighting had 2 arms. So you had 3 different spots you can actually target. And I was, you know, obviously you want to target the arms first and get them out of the way before hitting the main body. Now, this doesn't look like the same setup here with this boss. It looks like it's just straightforward with the target. So I don't remember, though, if you have to try to be more accurate or not, but it looks like that in his case, you might need to be, and make sure you're hitting the target. So I think it even like blinks or something when you're ready or whatever, but it's, yeah, they hit the target there.
This is fine. We're a tanky build somehow, even though we're an elementalist. We got this. It's a tutorial. We're allowed to make a couple of mistakes. Okay. I think I did pretty good.
Report back to Smokeskin.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And we're going back to the plains of Ashford. Okay. Oh, another voiced scene?
I heard what you did down in that crypt, soldier. Impressive.
Okay.
Champion Brimstone was calling the shots. I just did my job.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
You were part of the team that took down Baradin and stopped the ghost assault.
No, we were the team.
Smokestead is safe now, and you helped make it that way.
Hell yeah, we did.
People are still on edge, though. It'd help if they saw someone like you making the rounds, lending a hand.
All right, I'm gonna let you all watch this a little bit further. I'm gonna go change shirts real quick. I know it's weird, but I'm wearing a long sleeve and it's hot down here. So if you don't know, I have a bunch of tarantulas that I keep as a hobby, and so like the weather's getting colder outside, so like I have to make sure the downstairs is at least around 75 or higher. But with the long sleeve, it's like I'm roasting. So I'm just gonna switch into a t-shirt and I'll be right back. But yeah, keep watching your game here.
Okay.
The quicker we get this place squared away, the sooner the legions can get back to business. You can help. I'd rather have volunteers. But if I have to issue an order, I will.
Okay. I mean, that sounds...
That won't be necessary, Legionnaire.
That sounds good.
I hereby volunteer.
Yeah, we'll go around and help people. What could be the most someone in this little village needs help with anyway? Fury of the Dead complete. That is very nice. We learned a new skill as well, Drake's Breath. We should try that out. Let's go see what people want help with. Okay, so we destroying these little worm mounds. Do they have anything in? Oh, yeah. Low worms. Okay. Let's kill these real quick. Oh wait, we have to do ability. Let's test it here. Wait, what was that? Do we breathe fire by our feet instead of shooting it out in front of us? Squish the spideys real quick. That's interesting. Wait, let me try it on a different worm. Let me get more than one real quick, because I feel like we're pretty strong. We can take on more than one worm at a time, surely. Uh-oh. Let's see. Okay, skill number 2. Oh, That does a lot of damage, dude. Okay, we got some level up rewards as well. Very nice. Looks like we claim those on the right. I'll do that soon. And that's all for today, but don't forget to check out the brand new expansion. So with Guild Force 2, you want to track down and eliminate a...
So yeah, there you go, man. You guys can kind of see the gameplay a little bit. It is kind of nice because kind of like Path of Exile, you know, you start getting your skill sets and your new skills. I haven't got far enough to think if there's any kind of like, because it's like I said, I only spent like a couple hours playing early on. I haven't got back to it yet, but I don't know if there's like a Paragon Board of Swords with that one or not, or if there's like some other type of thing that you can expand on. But I know that the skills that I've acquired so far with my character are pretty good. So and just keep building them up and enhance them and all that stuff. So I have to kind of get back into it, and I'll give a little bit better review of the game itself once I do. But so far, between that and Dragonair, those are kind of the newer games that I've tested out myself, and I really enjoy playing them far more than Path of Exile. And I'm not trying to cheese out on Path of Exile. It has a lot of great things about it, but I don't need something that's quite that overly complicated to try to decipher. So yeah, so I stick with games that I'm having fun with, and that's one thing that I know about from Asmon is that, you know, he says, like, you just play games if you're having fun. If you're not having fun, then don't play them, and that's basically what it comes down to. So next, finally, we're gonna get to more Diablo 4 news. People, if you don't care about Diablo 4, you can check out now. It doesn't really matter. I know a lot of people are pretty fed up with Blizzard and Diablo 4 and all that, but for me personally, I'm still enjoying the game. Like, there's still things about the game I enjoy. I had a chance to check out some of the devs campfire chat from yesterday, and some of this with Rax as well. And a lot of it has me pretty excited. I know I have to kind of go in with tempered expectations because, you know, you only get let down. Like, there are some questions gonna have. So anybody that's watching this, when I start asking the questions about it, maybe you picked up on it that I didn't, or if Rax or anybody ever checks this out, can you give me some answers on there when I have it? But here is Rax basically watching and critiquing what's going on with the devs campfire. Again, I kind of edited this down. I only stuck with some of the things I found more interesting than others. But here we go with Rax talking, checking out the devs campfire chat here.
I know that you guys have a lot to talk about regarding classes, resistances, damage buckets, unique items. Take it away, Adam.
Yeah, totally. So, we can start jumping to slides. So the class team and really the whole Diablo 4 team has been very busy with improving the game. So our strategy for the Season of Blood is kind of a 5-point strategy. The high-level goal here was we were focusing on addressing player feedback and really making systemic improvements to the game. We wanted to improve the whole foundation of the game from the ground up as much as we could. So our strategy for the Season of Blood, firstly, we wanted to update elemental resistances. We've heard feedback that, you know, they weren't quite hitting the mark that we wanted to, and so we're making some changes there. We're also looking to make uniques more exciting and impactful. We're also going through every class.
I didn't even catch that. Rax had he was checking off boxes for either what the devs were going to mention or kind of fix or whatever, but I think he was basically saying to himself, okay, let's see if they check all these boxes when they do their campfire chat, because he's got BlizzCon out there. But I didn't realize, Joe Shelley needs a vacation. There was a point where I think not the last dev thing, but probably the one or two before that, Joe Shelley looked so miserable. Like, he was so burnt out. He did not want to be there. And so, like, people were just critiquing the hell out of him, saying, dude looks like he's just been beaten down by what's been going on with this game. So he looks in like the last campfire and everything. He looks much better, much more relaxed and happier. So hopefully he got some sleep. Let's continue.
systemically and looking at improvements to address commonly talked about issues that we've kind of heard from the community and from playing the game ourselves. We're also updating damage buckets and the underlying math of how the game works to make it a little more even and have better parity between builds and classes. And then the final one is really making all of these changes a bonus and making it feel like this is a large improvement to the game from the ground up. So I think we'll take it away with Charles first to talk about elemental resistances.
Yeah, let's talk about resistances. So currently in the Season of the Malignant on live right now, resistances are calculated in a way called inverse multiplicative. So what this means is that if you have, say, 20% poison resistance, and then you grab another piece of gear that has 20% more, your character stat sheet will actually show that you have 36% poison resistance. And that's because there's a diminishing returns. On the more resistance you get, it will never quite get you up to 100%. It's always kind of like 20% of the, the remaining amount. So it doesn't quite get you up to 100%. And this means that you can stack resistances essentially infinitely. There's no hard cap. You could get resistance on every piece of gear, and it would contribute to reducing that damage that you're taking. Additionally, right now, armor contributes both to elemental damage reduction. It kind of gets factored into this calculation, and it also reduces the physical damage you've taken from just enemies' regular attacks instead of the elemental attacks. So going forward into the Season of Blood, resistances are going to change how they're calculated, and they're now going to be additive. So that means if you have
this
the
how
20%
Last
poison
Epoch and
resistance you have
PoE
another
do it?
piece
They
that
just
has
add the
20%
numbers?
more, you're going to have 40% resistance on your character stat sheet exactly as you would expect. Although, since this adds up additively now, we do need to add a cap. So the resistances are going to be capped at a baseline of 70%. So your character can stack as up to 70% resistance. There are some effects in the game that allow you to go up to 85% with various effects that increase your max resistance, but those are rather rare because they are quite powerful. Additionally, armor is also going to only affect physical damage. As it used to do both, it's now only going to be calculated when you're taking physical damage and not when you're taking elemental.
And that actually makes sense. Why they had it doing both, not really sure, but it really should only affect like physical damage that you're taking. Now, my sorcerer, which I play the most, sure, I have armor on, but now I have to wonder more if I have to, like, the one thing that they're going to get into is we're eventually, because they're changing resistances and actually fixing that problem, because before there was none. Like, they kept thinking there was, but it was terrible. So now that they've changed it, everybody's going to have to go back through their Paragon boards and basically readjust them, because for mine currently, anything resistances that were on my Paragon board, I just avoided because they just weren't working. So I was stacking the damages of everything else. And so that's one thing that I'm kind of worried about, in a sense. Like, again, they're going to get into a little bit, but once we start adjusting things, we have to take away from some other things. So any like damage that my sorcerer is doing is going to have to be scaled back so I can make room for the resistances. So it helped me in armor and taking like less damage from like all the other poison and ice and everything else that gets thrown at me. But then my damage goes down. So I don't know. I'll let them explain more how this is going to go.
Mental damage.
Okay.
Additionally, to kind of make everyone have a baseline level of resistances, we're going to be updating rings so that they have all resistance at all times. Amulets already have all resistance, but rings
So
used to
armor
have
is way
two
less
separate
valuable unless they
elemental
buff it
resistance. They could have,
somehow.
say, fire resistance plus cold resistance.
They just nerf the shit
Now they'll
out of
have
armor.
all resistance along with one random one, such as fire resistance. And in order to really make sure that your character can survive a lot of these elemental damage that the monsters are going to be throwing out at you, you definitely want to be able to stack a lot of this resistance. But there's a lot of options to get it. You can get it through gear affixes, through Paragon points, skill tree nodes.
Let's see. This is the
as well as
second slide.
consumables and variety of
Let's
other
see what they
sources.
say.
So let's talk a little bit about the overall impact that you're going to see as a player. First and most importantly, resistances are going to matter a lot more in Season of Blood. They are just going to be a very important part of building your character. You're definitely going to want to look to try to cap up at that 70% mark as you're getting into the late game and fighting the most dangerous monsters. They're also going to be a little bit more complex. There's a little bit of a puzzle to solve here with hitting that cap. You're going to want to get, resistance. Yeah, resistance stonks for sure.
You're going to care about them.
You're definitely going to want to be caring about resistances as you're building your character in Season of Blood. Let's talk a little bit about our overall goals for the elemental.
Now, again, one of my questions is, though, here is, so we know Season of Blood is going to feature a lot of this. Supposedly, it's going to affect the Eternal Realm, too. So when it first gets done and the patches and everything get thrown in, does this mean that anything they're talking about here with Season of Blood is going to affect my Eternal character? So now do I go back and do exactly what I just said about resetting the Paragon board and adjusting my character to fight off, the resistances so that I can not take as much damage? So, I mean, that's fine if I have to do that, but I'm just wondering. They didn't really specifically say. They keep pointing to Season as the main goal here, which I will be playing Season 2, but at the same time, I still want to adjust and still play the Eternal Realm. So I have to figure out, like, what are they going to do? Is it going to be like a total coverage of everything, or just in Season 2?
Resistance system, and I think it's important to talk about goals when we're talking about these really big systemic changes, because as we're going through and tuning a lot of the numbers and the balance of everything that's coming in Season of Blood, I mean, there's a lot in Season of Blood, obviously. We are going to be looking at the tuning and balance of these systems through the lens of these goals. So if it turns out that some of our exact tuning, maybe isn't hitting these goals, then we're going to be reevaluating them, and that's why we really want to share our goals for these systems with you. So the first one is that we want the system to have an endpoint. Players should be able to hit that 70% cap at roughly level 80 for most resistances. This isn't going to be something that you're chasing up to level 100 and you need absolute best possible gear in order to hit this cap. It's going to be something that's very achievable for most players as they're getting into that late game around level 80-ish.
It's probably good for the casual
players. Our second goal is that all players, even if they're not paying too close attention to this, shouldn't fall too far behind. That's why we're adding the all resist to rings and amulets. This is a failsafe to ensure that players will always have some baseline minimum amount of resistance, so they're not getting completely destroyed by elemental damage if they're not really optimizing this. And finally, this is going to be a puzzle to solve for players as you're building your character, and there's a lot of paths to solve it. This isn't a situation where you need the absolute best possible gear to solve this. It's that we give you a lot of different options. You can get affixes of resistance through Paragon, elixirs, gems in particular is very important. And it's all about optimizing your character to find the best way for you to reach the resistance cap.
I know it sounds cheesy, and they don't actually mention anything about this in this video. Don't know if it's going to be something down the road, but here's something that I would like to see as changes, and I know they probably won't do it. The first one is the elixirs, right? Elixirs only last for like 30 minutes. They need to change that to an hour. Secondly, you can get just about any type of materials in the open world through like drops and everything else, but for whatever reason, Gallovine, you have to go and farm it, and it's the one thing that you need to do to create elixirs. So sure, I can go and do that and spend time doing that, but it takes fucking forever. So my question is, like, why not just have them also part, because you have other types of vines and shit that drop in dungeons and everything else. So why not add Gallovine into that equation? Like, even like just so that we can build it up, because it's so tough to keep it even built up. Now the second thing is, shit, I forgot my train of thought now. Damn it. If I come back to it, I'll remember it.
Rather than can you reach it at all?
Puzzle.
I know what it was. So when it comes to our items, our gear, and our weapons, like we can go and have it enchanted, right? So we can, but you can only re-enchant the same enchantment you had. Secondly, you don't get to choose what enchantment you have. So you're continuously, like, if you enchant it once for whatever cost, you may or may not like what they offer. So then you can enchant it again for another cost. So you can keep doing this until you find something you perfectly like. 9 times out of 10 for me, I'm gonna focus on certain things. So either it's like cooldown reduction or energy boost or something to do with frost, because that's what my build is with my sorcerer. So it's too bad they don't allow you to choose the type of stat you want. Because I'll tell you right now, one thing that's very helpful that I've realized is whenever you get the all stats boost. So let's say I have a piece of armor or my weapon, and it's you get like a plus 20 all stats. Well, that's helpful, dude. It increases your power and shit a lot. And so I find that to be a very helpful stat to have, especially if you're trying to go towards end game. But since it's random, you don't necessarily will get that, and that's what sucks. And they won't offer it because then they figure everybody's just going to overpower their characters and get through. But I don't know. I think it still should be an option. Like, even if you were going to charge like a gazillion gold for it, right, in game, at least it'd be worth it.
I really want to highlight this elixir here. We've updated all of the elemental resist elixirs so that they also include, you can see here, a maximum poison resistance increased by 6%. And that's really impactful, especially because the resistance that you get kind of in excess of 70% is disproportionately valuable. Just to give you an example, let's say you're going from 0% resistance up to 5% resistance. What that means is, well, you're taking 5% less damage. You would have taken 100 damage, now you take 95. But if you're already at, say, 70% resistance at the cap, and you go up to 76% resistance, what that means is if you were to take 100 poison damage, well,
instead of taking 30, you take 24.
30. But now at 76, you're only taking 24 because you have 76% resistance. And that's actually a 20% damage reduction. You're gaining a lot more effective life whenever you add that extra cap at the end. So really getting to that cap and pushing above the cap is a great way to give you a better fighting chance against some of these late game bosses who all have these elemental effects. And yeah, these elixirs are going to be a key part of your arsenal to take on those late game bosses.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, I think we want to move on
to the next
to uniques.
Yeah.
Yes, Adam, take it away.
Yeah, so firstly, talking a little bit about those goals really quick. Something that is really important to me and the team is that, when we're talking to you about the updates we're doing to the game, that you understand
Updated
kind of why we're making these changes
in the game.
and what our goals are, because you're going to see as we go through all of these, we're changing like a lot of how the underlying math and other systems of the game work. And, the odds are high that we don't nail everything perfectly. But if you understand what we're trying to do and we're more transparent about that, then when you're having discussions with each other, when you're giving feedback to us, they can just be a little bit more high level and better sources of information when you also understand why we're doing things. So now moving on to uniques, let's get into it. So generally, we feel, and we've heard the feedback, that they're just not exciting enough. For the end game chase items, they're supposed to be really, really awesome and cool. They're just not hitting the mark all the time. Too often players really don't feel good when they drop, and really what is an alarm bell for me personally is that when there's a unique for your build and it's intended to be good for that build, let's say like a fireball unique for a fireball sorcerer, and then a fireball sorcerer doesn't even want that, right? Like, we don't want that situation to happen, whether it's because the unique effect isn't good enough or the stats on the gear aren't good enough. We want to make sure these are exciting and awesome and attractive to get.
Definitely a major problem with the game.
We updated nearly every single unique in the game. Not all of them, but pretty close. So we have a fourfold strategy, and I'm going to go through here using some fake examples of kind of what we did, and then we're going to go through some real examples of actual changes that we made to the game. So the first one, and by the way, we're also not just doing this in Season of Blood, but this is kind of how we're going to be looking at making uniques unique going forward. So the first one is adding new stats to them. So as an example here, increased tornado duration isn't really a stat that exists in the game that can be on gear, but it could potentially exist on a unique. The next one is giving larger existing stat ranges. So as an example here, bonus fire damage would normally roll between, let's say, 15 and 25%. I just made these numbers up. But, on a unique, it could be between 30 and 45%, or some even higher number, right? Like, we can mess with those ranges and make them more attractive. The next one is overriding slot rules. So the example here, weapons normally can't roll cooldown reduction, which is a really powerful stat on an item, but on a unique, it potentially could. And then the last one is updating unique effects.
Turn
this
the volume
is really
up.
like actually updating the special thing that the unique does that adds to your player power. So the example here, a unique
better?
normally require hitting enemies from behind on Tuesdays, but now it'll just work when you hit enemies, right? We just make it easier and more consistent.
I love damage on Tuesdays. It's my favorite affix.
Me too. Tuesday's a good day.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's go through some actual changes. So the first one is Fists of Fate. This is our favorite random item where everything's just lucky hit and chance-based. One of the issues with this unique is that, because a lot of your stats on your gloves are damage related, and this one doesn't really give you that direct just damage power, we're taking one of the lucky hit effects and changing it to a new stat that doesn't exist anywhere else in the game. That's basically a chance to give you a damage buff for a certain amount of time. So now this will make up for some of that, not giving you your skill rank stats or other things.
That
now gives
particular unique could be really good for killing
next one, we've got
Uber
the
bosses.
Shadow. This is a rogue unique that's themed around summoning shadow clones to do damage. You can see on the left, that's the old version. The shadow clone damage range was between 14 to 21%, and now it can roll between 31 and 52%, so it's much higher.
And the core skills can also go to 4
next one,
instead
we've got Hellhammer. We've actually got a couple of things going on here. You can see here, first one is, again, increasing the stat ranges. The damage to burning enemies goes from 14 to, what is that, 28%.
Wow,
now
is
it's going
upheaval
to
back on the
42 to
menu now?
70%. So a lot more damage to burning
4 to
enemies.
upheaval?
And then the next one is actually overriding the slot rule and adding a
70%
new stat
damage
that
instead
can't
of
normally be on
28.
weapons, which is ranks to upheaval. And when we start going later in the presentation, you're going to learn that skill ranks are really, really powerful in the Season of Blood and going forward. So this is going to make this item much more attractive.
So they're buffing skill ranks too. Okay.
And then the last one, updating unique effects. This is another barbarian.
Okay, so here
unique,
come the
Ancient
buffs
Oath.
to offset
So before
the
it
uniques.
was that Steel Grasp launched 2 additional chains, which it's still doing and is pretty neat. And before it was that it slowed enemies that got hit. And we found really that adding a slowed enemies isn't really quite the powerful effect that we want. So instead of doing a slow, now it's going to give you a whole bunch of multiplicative bonus damage to anything that you grab. So again, just straight up a lot more powerful than it was before.
That might be godly again for boss
All
killing.
right, now we're also going to be adding some new legendaries and uniques to
support
Season
Barb.
2. So here we're going to go through some of the uniques specifically that we're adding that you can be chasing when you're going through Diablo 4. So this first one is called Flicker Step. This one is basically when you evade through enemies, you're going to reduce your ultimate cooldown by a pretty chunky amount. So you can see here, as the player is evading through enemies, their ultimate cooldown is getting a lot shorter. So you can, try and create an ultimate build where you're just focused on using your ultimate a bunch of times.
That's going to be huge for any build in the future
The
where
next one is
ultimates are good.
Scoundrel's Leathers. This is our new rogue unique. This one says that when you have Inner Sight active and you have that unlimited energy, then on cast, when you cast a core skill, you have a chance to spawn a random trap. And this random trap can also be death trapped, so it's pretty cool. And last but not least, this is one of my
Chain
favorite ones,
spawning
Dolmen
traps?
Stone. This is for
Move
the Druid.
my camera.
And it says that when you
Move
cast
my camera.
Hurricane and then you cast Boulder
Sorry.
while your Hurricane is active, your Boulder will actually spin around you and get caught in the Hurricane. And yes, you can actually have multiple boulders going on at once.
Oops. That's exactly what I
Pretty
didn't want to do. My bad, I'm stupid. Oh,
All right,
it's
next
too late.
we're
I
going to be talking
ruined
about
it.
class improvements.
Sorry.
This is the next part of our strategy, which is really looking at the issues that the community's been talking about with every class.
Potato
and,
streamer.
As we jump in, because I know a lot of people are seeing the rating levels on some of those uniques.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. And I know last week we had
Sorry.
talked about,
here we go.
rating level being 920.
Just gotta hide
but
myself.
Then there's some of the uniques that we showed earlier, for instance, actually ended up
Why is this not
showcasing,
working?
like 925 or other numbers.
There we go.
So yeah, I wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We did it.
925 is going to be the new maximum range that you can get for your gear. So 925 is the max high power you can get to.
Yeah, so it's
Just to double check.
it's us clarifying essentially last week where we said 920, but it's actually 925.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to clear that up with everyone to make sure that people understood.
If I stream every day for 4.5 years, I'll learn how to do it.
So next, let's talk about the uniques that you can get in the game. So as you know, we can go to the next slide. Oh, it's good.
Okay.
Oh, I don't. Oh, there we go.
we go.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, so this part of the video is very cool because with the new bosses that are coming in, we're now gonna have like certain drops, unique drops. Now I think what they were saying in this is that whenever you fight a boss, there's like a guaranteed drop of a unique, but it will be different depending on what boss it is and what item. So like for the sorcerer, for Grigori, yeah, Staff of Lamb, Eason, Ice Heart Brass, and Gloves of the Eliminator. Now, this is no interest to me because, and I guess I should mention this now. This is if someone knows Rax or talks to Rax on his channel, can you point him to this part of my video at all if you just happen to see this, and maybe he can answer it for me? And that is, I have a bunch of uniques that I've kind of collected off of tier 3 and 4, mainly tier 3, that are sitting in my stash tabs, and they're talking about updating and upgrading the uniques. Does that only apply to uniques that now drop after the patches? Like after these bosses are added and stuff, or do any uniques you have go up to match your character? Because at this point, I got a lot of uniques that I can't do anything with unless I start other characters and use them with those characters. But right now I have like 25 staffs, right, for a sorceress, which I don't use. I use wands. My character, actually, my sorcerer uses like a dagger right now, which is a legendary, which is stronger than the one Oculus I got to drop that is less powerful than my dagger. So I don't use the Oculus. And I've tried to get another one to drop. It's just not happening. So obviously there's this boss called the Beast of Ice that will drop the Oculus. I'm assuming every time you fight that boss, it's like one of 3 items that drops from it. Oculus would be one of them. So does that mean my chances go up to get the Oculus by beating this creature a few times? Or is it still just very low percentage random? I'm assuming with these bosses that it means we're going to see a lot more of these. I would hope.
Yeah, so here we're just going to give you a preview here so you can now target farm uniques. And to be clear here, with these new bosses that we're adding in the Season of Blood, these are the uniques that the boss will be able to drop. Now, you can still get uniques from all content in the game.
Bro, you
It's
can't
just a
get
rare chance
Tempest
to get any of them,
Roar.
but you have a much higher chance to get these specific
Druids are going to be so mad.
So here you can see a list. That was the first one. Next is Varshan here. So if you're chasing
Oh, it's going by boss. Okay.
Rage,
Okay, by boss. My bad. By boss.
Mad Wolf's Glee as a druid. This is who you're going to be target farming.
Every slide is a boss.
Next
Okay.
we've got Lord Zir. So here's the list. We can stay here for a few seconds and just
we'll post these lists on the on the site so that players can actually reference back to these if they need to after the stream. But these are all the. I know we've gotten a lot of questions.
Who drops
about,
Tempest
like,
Roar?
Hey, you talked about target farming. Like, what can I actually target farm off of these new bosses? And so we wanted to make sure that we actually showcase that list here, so every player can actually see all the uniques that they can actually target farm specifically from these bosses.
Yep, so this is the Beast in Ice. These are all the uniques you can get there. And then last one is Duriel. So
Duriel drops Tempest Roar. All you have to do to get your Tempest Roar is kill the final boss.
And then their last but not least are the Uber uniques that have a higher chance to drop from him. So this is his loot table.
Yeah, Uber uniques will definitely be more achievable in this season. They'll still be very rare, but if you're getting Duriel on farm and you're killing them a bunch, you're probably going to be able to see one of them throughout a season.
Most definitely we'll be able to see one if you're really.
You need to see more than one of them, man. Come on now, guys.
You'll probably know a lot of people within your own clan that actually will end up having Uber uniques this season. And again, these bosses are available in season 2, but they're also
the volume is changing all the time
on day 1.
Let me turn them up again.
October 17th, so.
Their volume is moving all the time.
All right, so now let's get to the class improvements.
I turned it up again.
So yeah, our strategy here was addressing issues with each class that the community is talking about. These changes are mostly unique to each class, and they're meant to target specific pain points that players have been having. What you'll be seeing here today, by the way, in this presentation are just some examples. It's not a list of all the changes. If we did that, we'd be here all day. But we will be coming out with patch notes and a blog explaining things pretty soon right after this stream. We're going to give you a preview kind of what you can expect. So the first one is a general change, and this is that fortify amounts, when you gain fortify, are going to be changed from being based on your base life to your maximum life. And what this means is that increasing your maximum life is going to make these effects stronger, and this is across the board.
Yeah, I think this is a really important change for any kind of build that's trying to build really tanky. They want to build fortify, they want to build max life, and previously, whenever fortify was based on your base life, building more maximum life actually meant that it was harder to get your character fully fortified. Well, because you had more life to fortify through. And so with this change, you can see here in this example on the left, pretty much the same character, almost the exact same life total. Before, you would get about 368 fortify with this effect. And now the exact same effect, exact same character, now gets 677. So almost double amount. If you are building a lot of maximum life, like this character is, you're just going to see a lot more fortify values, which means it's a lot easier for your character to get into that powerful fortified state.
Stacking life might be important for overpower builds now as well, depending upon how they changed it, especially with the fortify buff as well.
All right, next we're going to talk about some class adjustments here. So during our Season of the Malignant live stream, if you remember, we talked about how sometimes we're going to need to make adjustments to things that are overperforming. Right? So I want you to imagine for a little bit that you have your perfect game that you're creating, right? Where your power level of everything in the game is here, balance-wise, right? Everything's exactly the same. Firstly, we live in the real world, so no game's really exactly like this. It's more like something like this, right? Where you have a range where, your lowest power thing and your highest power thing are within here. And this is actually better for a healthier game, because if everything's exactly the same, then, your power level can get kind of flat and boring, right? If like Fireball does the exact same as Upheaval, does the exact same as everything else, your game can end up kind of flat. So some variance is pretty good, right? But then sometimes, when things get out of this range, that's kind of a sweet spot. If something is like way up here, then this can warp the design and warp what players are doing and warp even the perception and fun of the game. So one of the things that we had talked about during that stream is when we have things that are up here, usually this is due to either like unplanned synergies, or something that's bugged or working unintended, it can get out of the range. And so we're committed now that when things get out of range too far, we're going to bring it back to that normal realm where everything is. So in the Season of Blood, we're really looking at 3 situations here where this happens. Sometimes builds and playstyles can just dramatically be outperforming others. Another one is fixing unintended interactions that result in extreme outliers. These are usually like bugs or other things like that.
It's like a nice
designs, and this is kind of future.
It's like a nice way to say they're nerfing stuff.
Potential for infinite power scaling, so that going forward, particularly when we're adding leaderboards into the game, we really want to make sure that the power levels of things isn't too out of whack, and particularly for too long of a time.
We need
so we're
them to
be more
nerf
committed to looking at these things more often.
We got nerfs down.
So in the Season of Blood, we don't really have too many of these, and to be clear, the overwhelming majority of our changes are going to be buffs. But these are some adjustments to get ahead of first to make sure that those power levels are kind of the same. We can go to the next slide here. So the first one is Necromancer. If you've played a Bone Spear Necro, you probably saw this coming a little bit. But Ossified Essence, your key passive, we're reducing your damage bonus from 1 to 0.5%. And to be clear here, even after this change, this key passive is still probably a contender for being the strongest one in the game. It's really, really powerful. It adds a ton of damage.
Well, Bone Spear is too strong.
What this lets us do, actually, and you'll see when you get to look at our patch notes, it gives us some room to add power in other places in Bone Necro, rather than it all being centralized only around the key passive.
Yeah, I don't know if Bone Spear is really that strong. I know everyone keeps saying that, but I mean, I haven't had, like, it's not like I went through and laid waste to everything on, in Diablo 4 with my Necromancer. Like my Necromancer is level 70 something, but it's not like I can just blow through everything. Like there's still problems there. Like I don't know. I don't get the idea that it's like overpowered. The only thing I will say is that I think that when it comes to in which they are apparently working on is the balance of class. You know, they want to make sure that if you have a different build of sorts that you can still get to the end game with a different build than the one that most people will use. So as much as people gripe about, you know, my Frost Mage and people using the Frost Sorcerer the most, you should be able to get there now with Chain Lightning or Fireball. And same with like the Druid and the Rogue and everything. You don't have to have one particular type of strategy or build to get to that end game.
We're also reducing the Bone Graft Legendary Paragon node max essence per stack a little bit. You're still going to be able to get a ton of maximum essence in the game, but we're just bringing these down a little bit. And then the next two, these are going to be kind of themed. We've got the Barbarian, the Supreme Wrath of the Berserker. This is the one where while your Wrath of the Berserker is active, when you spend Fury, you get damage bonus on Berserking multiplicatively, and this could scale infinitely, and now we're just adding a cap to it. And then the next one, similarly for the Druid, the aspect of the Rampaging Werebeast, the crit strike damage bonus is now going to be capped at 200%.
Oh my.
And again, these numbers are still really high at
this needed to happen,
100 and 200% multiplicative bonus damage. We're not really looking to just, nerf these things.
But this
the
needed
ground
to
level.
happen,
We're just
though.
making sure that there's
These changes
a cap on
needed
the
to
maximum
happen.
amount you can get, so that in the future,
So,
when players,
I don't have any problem with this.
it lets us add
They
things
needed
like
to do
increasing
this.
the duration of these, or making an infinite duration, or doing
Yeah,
other things
we have
like that that we
nerfs
wouldn't be able to do
checked.
if these were just uncapped forever.
These needed
All
to
right,
happen.
so now let's
I
get
got
to
no problem
specific classes and kind of the cool things that are coming. So first thing that we've heard from Barbarian players is that their Paragon boards are just kind of weak, right? They're not particularly impactful or exciting.
Let's just say Barbarians
look here
are
at one
weak.
example, and we've changed quite a few of these. This is the Decimator Paragon node. Beforehand, we kind of turned into a meme. It gave you a low chance to apply vulnerable to enemies when using a specific weapon, two-handed slashing weapons. And now you can see in the Season of Blood, instead, it's still going to be themed a little bit around vulnerable. But now when you make enemies vulnerable, you just get a percent damage bonus. And then when you overpower vulnerable enemies, you double that and you get a 20% multiplicative damage.
Yeah, but
bonus.
Barbarians
So
don't
it's
have a
much
good
more
way to
powerful
apply
than it was before. It
vulnerable
is on
other
par with
than
other
like
similar
pressure
effects.
point.
Next one now is Berserking. Berserking Barbarians are going to be eating pretty happy
How do we
this
apply
patch.
vulnerable?
The damage bonus used to be additive. So, when you went to the Berserking state and you got
exploits,
that
yeah.
damage bonus, it was only additive.
It's
with your
exploit or
damage
nothing,
bonuses,
pretty much.
And now it's going to be multiplicative. So just being in Berserking in general is going to be much more lucrative for you.
Yeah, it's exploit or nothing, pretty much.
And next, the of Ancestral Force Legendary, everyone's favorite game mechanic in the game. Before it was that, when you use Hammer of the Ancients, it nuked out some damage and then a little explosion, and then that damage kind of had a separate value. And so sometimes you'd be motivated to, turn around and attack and not hit the enemy directly because you want to hit him with the explosion and not your normal hit. Now it's just going to cause the Quake to happen, but it just increases the damage of the base skill, and then the Quake and the base skill just do one source of damage. So now you're not motivated anymore to do any strange behavior. Next one, let's talk about the Sorcerer. So Incinerate is getting a pretty big buff here. The ramp up time, so for those of you who don't play, or play Incinerate builds, before it used to be that ramped up over 4 seconds. So you would, channel your Incinerate on an enemy and the damage would go up and go up and go up over 4 seconds. And now we're cutting that in half to 2 seconds. The total damage that you're going to get is still the same. We're just making it much easier for you to get that maximum amount. And now you can reposition a lot more often. And next one, Enhanced Frozen Orb. We buffed this so that now it grants additional explosion damage against elites. This includes bosses as well. So normally, Frozen Orb damage is kind of a big AoE damage, so a single target isn't that great. So in boss scenarios, it's not really as good. And now we've added a tuning knob here, so now we can make this much better or more comparable to other builds when it comes to big single target enemies.
I'm not sure that either of those
And then
are
last but not
enough.
least, we've got some feedback that the Winter and Electrocute Paragon glyphs didn't really have a place where they could be used on the Paragon board. So we've adjusted either the glyphs or the board itself, so now these can be slotted and actually give you a good bonus effect like the other glyphs do.
All right, let's talk about Rogue a little bit. Now, so unlike maybe the Barb and the Sork that we just talked about, we felt that Rogue was honestly in a pretty good place. We didn't have as many pressing issues. There weren't as many things that we really needed to address on Rogue. There were still some things that we saw, but not quite as many as other classes. The one area that we saw was with basic skills. Pretty much every Rogue build was running Puncture. Now, Puncture is a great skill. It does a whole lot of really cool things, but basically the other 4 basic skills were just not seeing really any use at all. And there was a variety of reasons there, and so we have taken a look at the 4 of those to update them, mainly looking at their lucky hit chance for Blade Shift and Forceful Arrow, bringing those up to the 50% chance to kind of keep them on par with the other basics. And then Enhanced Blade Shift, the upgrade to Blade Shift, will now immediately give you the full movement speed bonus. Prior, you had to move through enemies, and it took a little bit of time to ramp up. We're just going to give you that full move speed bonus right off the bat. And then Heartseeker, the critical strike chance that you get whenever Heartseeker hits a target, it previously stacked up at 3% per cast, per stack. And that meant you needed to hit an enemy 5 times before you got the full 15% bonus. And 5 times is a lot. So now we're going to increase the gain per stack up to 5% per stack. So you can get that full bonus within 3 hits, which is very conveniently the same number that you need to max out your combo points. So Heartseeker might see a little bit more play in combo point builds going forward. Additionally, we also took a look at the Impetus passive. And this one, we just made it occur a little bit more often. You only need to move 12 instead of 15 meters. But more importantly, it also increases the damage of your next non-basic attack. Prior, it just said your next attack. And that meant that you would occasionally use a basic, and then you'd get the bonus on the basic, which didn't do a lot of damage. Now you're definitely going to be getting this full bonus on a higher damage skill, like a core skill, whenever you...
But doesn't that mean that it could also do it on like Dash or Shadow Step?
So similarly to the Rogue, the Druid's in a pretty good place. So not quite as many updates as other classes, but we still found some room to make Druid players happy. First one is Ravens. Ravens is getting pretty good buffs across the board. The passive damage is being increased by 20%. That's the little ravens that peck your enemies to death. The active damage is also getting increased by a whopping 55%, so that's the actual circle of ravens that hit enemies. And then enhanced ravens, the bonus critical strike chance that you get is going to be increased from 5 to 8%. So across the board, just a much better skill. And then rabies. Rabies is also getting a pretty big damage buff. And then we're also making one of the upgrades, which is natural rabies. It used to make it that your rabies spread twice as fast or 100% faster. We're giving half of that baseline. So now your rabies is going to actually just spread between enemies 50% faster, so you don't have to wait as long for them to get infected. And then the natural rabies will increase that by another 50% to make it 100.
Yeah, rabies feels a lot better to play with now. It spreads out to the whole pack right away.
Yeah,
or a lot quicker.
A lot easier to use. Yep. And now Necromancer players. So Necromancer players will be pretty happy here. We got a lot of stuff coming for you. And again, this isn't even all of it.
Waiting to reach out after this.
So minions, buffs, lots of them. First thing is Death's Defense. This is a passive that was kind of mandatory for minion builds. This was really our fail-safe that, a boss or other big hit from enemies wouldn't just one-shot all of your minions. Basically, now that passive is baseline.
This is the first thing that kind of excites me would be this.
Life without, having this defense in there.
I'll also add in that this baseline functionality that your minions can't take more than 30% life, this applies to all player pets across the game, including Druids Wolves. That's just how our pets now work. And of course, we've redesigned the Death's Defense passive to give you another alternative if you want even more defense on your minions.
Yeah, good clarification. Druids eating even better today,
yes.
too.
Yes.
Next, Golem. Basic attack damage is getting doubled. We're insane. But yep, so it's going to get a lot stronger. Your Blood Golem and your Iron Golem's active damage is also going up.
In my opinion,
by 55%. The Iron Golem Slam is going to be 15% better. Also, many of your minion Paragon no damage value.
They're going to end up talking about it, but it's not just with the Necromancer's pets. So basically, and they'll get into it. We talked about the Druids with their ravens. This also happens with the wolves. So there's like these active buffs or increases in damage that are being given to the pets that certain characters have. And so my Druid is a werewolf, werebear crossover, but I use a pair of wolves as attackers as well. So that's going to help out in their attacks. Like it did kind of feel funny that when you were playing a necromancer, that your minions, you could have like 7 or 8 of them, and they just die like so quick, and they become useless. So a lot of people were like, I know Poet, when he was playing a necromancer, he was basically just going solo. Like he would sacrifice them and just concentrate on himself. But that's the thing that people were talking about. I was like, we want to be able to get to end game playing a build that we like, and if you like the extra thing with the golems and the minions and whatnot, then you should be able to get there without having to change your builds. Like people were changing their builds all the way through, even with sorcerer. Like you shouldn't have to do that. If I enjoy what my sorcerer is doing with the frost and everything else, like I shouldn't have to go and change it over or tweak it to like fire or fire shield and stuff. Like you shouldn't have to do that. If you like a certain build, you should be able to finish that game with that build.
Have been increased, so that's scaling minion damage into the mid and late.
Okay, so I guess I must just cut that off there. But either way, you get an idea what's going on with the game of Diablo 4 in Season 2. They do have a lot more information, and Rax does have more videos up kind of over analyzing more of what's going on with the season. So be sure to check out his stream. If you like the Guild Wars 2 thing, the game there with that, Bran Online, please go check out his page and subscribe if you like his stuff, or if you already know about him. And then, of course, Asmon is out there as well. So just, great content, great creators. Great streamers, great gamers. Still would, disagree with them here and there on stuff, but in the end, check out the tournament for WoW if you're into that kind of stuff. The guys that play online are very good and a lot of fun to watch, and it's kind of neat watching them try to out strategize each other how they're going to win their battles. So certainly worth doing it. All right. Well, thanks for checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was at least a little bit informative. I know I was kind of busy in the background, just a lot going on lately today, but I wanted to get this out there while it was still hot. And yeah, if you like it, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you like our channel. We got a lot of different content you can choose from, not just gaming stuff, but movie reviews, trailers, music, of course, is a big thing for us. Enjoy any of that, please. Support us. Those that are supporting us, we appreciate it a lot. And I think I'm going to be doing a review tomorrow with Kevin Lambert from the entertainment headquarters on his channel. So I think we're going to be reviewing Lake Mungo, which I've seen. He has not. I know Nick and I love this movie a lot. Kind of like a documentary / mockumentary. And it's very good for the Halloween season. So if you have not checked that out before, be sure to do so. It's on Shudder right now. Might be even on Tubi. I'm not sure. Either way, thanks for the support as always, and we will see you next time here on the Metal Time Radio podcast. Enjoy the rest of your week.